Once again, good morning to all. I'm Orzama. I'll be representing Jamboree. So those of you who have been attending these sessions, you know that I act as a moderator while we host our business schools. So some of you already have attended these sessions, and for some of you this might be the first session. So I would like to set out some ground rules even before we proceed. That during our interaction, so when Camille starts her presentation, so please don't type any questions in the chat window, because we will not be able to address questions while we are speaking. So type in your questions only when I ask you to. So so after every segment of the presentation, so you don't even have to wait till the end of the presentation. After every segment of the presentation, we would take a pause and take questions, and that's when you should post your questions. In case you forget to ask any questions, so that's not an issue. Even at the end of the session, we will have some time for Q&A. So keep noting down your questions, but don't type in the chat window, because that can be a little distracting. So that's the first point. Second is that during the presentation, at any time, if you stop hearing us or if you stop seeing us, please log out and log in again. There might be a problem, there might be an internet connectivity problem at your end, right? So if anybody's or if there's any break in our voice or any kind of technical issue, please log out and log in again, because both mine and Camille's, our internet connections are are pretty strong. So there may be an issue with your internet connection, especially if you're attending this with your mobile phone or any other PDS. Okay, all right. So with that, so I would like to welcome Ms. Camille Chow. She's an Associate Director of MBA Admissions at the IESE Business School. She's from Singapore and has spent most of her career working and traveling through the US, Europe and Asia. She is a graduate of Brown University in Rhode Island, US, and she has extensive experience in sales and marketing, hospitality and event management. She joined the IESE Admissions Committee after completing her full-time MBA at IESE itself in 2016. So Camille, thank you very much for taking out the time to address the queries of our students. I hope you enjoy this session as much as we do. So with that, I would like to request you to introduce yourself or say something else about yourself and proceed with the session.
Great. Thanks so much, Ayama, for the introduction. I hope everyone can hear me clearly. So it's my great pleasure to be here with you this morning. Thank you for joining me. So as an MBA alumni myself, I have been in your position, also going through the application process. So if you have any questions about that part, I'm happy to answer that as well. But now let me begin with the info session about our MBA program at IESE Business School. So I'm sure many of you are familiar with us. That's why you're here today, right? We've been consistently ranked as one of the top business schools in the world across various rankings. So you may have come across us in the rankings, or maybe you've heard about us through your friends, or maybe you've even seen us in the news. Of course, we're very proud of where we are today. But I think to really know us as a school, or to understand us as a school, maybe not many of you are as familiar. So I kind of want to start with that. I'm going to jump straight into our mission, because our mission is really what drives us. It's really how our school was founded, how our curriculum is designed. So it's very important, to understand our mission, to really know who we are. So I'm going to explain that a little bit. Some of you maybe have even heard about this before from me. So please bear with me. Again, in a nutshell, our mission is really to develop global leaders who will have a deep and positive impact on society. So now, what does that really mean to us? So in terms of being global, I think there are a lot of business schools out there who also claim to be global. A lot of schools have a very international student body, or maybe have multiple campuses around the world. So of course that is something we have, but we see it as more than that, as more than just about the numbers. For us at ESA, it's really about immersing our students in a very global environment. So you imagine every day you'll be surrounded by students from all types of different nationalities, and by professors of all types of nationalities, as well as people from different backgrounds. You have the opportunity as well, to take classes in our campuses around the world, and you'll be discussing business cases about businesses from all over the world as well. So this is for 19 months of your life. So for us, it's really again about immersing you and about not just tolerating the differences and understanding it, but really learning to enjoy these differences and this global perspective. So again, that's a very core part of who we are. In terms of leadership, what does being a leader really mean? I'm sure many of you are very successful managers already. You may have significant work experience and you're experts in your field. But what is the difference between really being a manager and a leader? So for us, leader is really someone who is able to make important decisions, business decisions under uncertainty, without perfect information, because that's how it is in the real world. A leader is someone who has listening skills, because if you are not able to listen to the needs of your company or of the market, then you won't be able to innovate and come up with new ideas on how to address these needs. A leader is someone who's able to manage cross-cultural teams. If you're running a global business, you will be managing people from all over the world. How do you do that? And of course, a leader is someone who's able to maybe influence. When you work with government, you don't have the power or control or authority over them. How do you manage to work with them? So again, developing the skill to influence others, and a lot of traits, these types of traits. So in our program, we really hope to help you develop these skills and develop your leadership potential. And that's also why our program tends to be a little bit on the longer side. I'm sure many of you are aware, our program is 19 months. To develop your leadership skills is not something that happens overnight. So that's why our program is designed that way. And in terms of having a positive impact on society, it's not that we expect everyone to work in an NGO or a charity when you graduate. But it's really about what we focus on really is the human aspect of doing business. So for us, when our founders started the school about 60 years ago in collaboration with Harvard Business School, they felt that businesses were tending to ignore the impact that they have on society, that people were tending to focus a lot more on profits only or revenue only or growth only. And so our founders wanted to shift the focus of businesses back to the people element, because at the end of the day, people are the core of all businesses. Every business decision that you take would affect people and society as a whole. So for us, when we focus so heavily on the people side of it, we hope to ingrain in you this consciousness, and by default, you automatically make better business decisions along the way. So again, with this mission in mind, when I explain the design of our program and the structure of our program, I think it'll become a little clearer why we do things the way we do it. All right. So I'm going to move on, but are there any questions in the meantime? All right, so I'm going to proceed then. So as mentioned, for us, we want to basically, train you to be a future CEO. And that's why for us, our program, we have a general management perspective. So although the word general seems quite vague and not very specific, it is actually, has a very, very clear focus. To us, a CEO or, again, a leader is someone who really understands all the different functions of doing business, whether it's finance or marketing or operations. So you see in our curriculum, we'll cover all these different business functions, which you see marked in red on this pyramid. But again, the idea is not just to understand all of these functions, but to understand how they all interact with each other, because that's how businesses operate in the real world, right? But we do want to elevate you, to be able to take this helicopter view of the business and again, be able to, lead a global business in the future. While many of you may already be experts in one of these subject areas, your experience typically tends to be, based on, where you've worked. So it could be quite local or quite region specific. And the idea is to come to a program like ours and really be exposed to all different ways of doing business, depending on your geography and your industry, and to raise you to this global level. And of course, at the core of it all is really people management. Again, we always focus on the people, right? Because to be a leader, you will always have to manage people. There's no running away from it. And without a solid base, of being able to manage people well, you will not be able, the pyramid will basically crumble. So again, when we do cases and when we discuss business cases, it always comes down back to the people management aspect of it. All right.
So Camille, if I may, I just would like I have a question at this stage, if that's okay with you.
Sure. Absolutely.
So when you say general management perspective, so most MBAs, they allow you to major in something. You do an MBA in finance, you do an MBA in operations, etc. So in IESE, what you're saying, so those majors or those focuses are not available. Is that what you're saying?
Well, the thing is, when you graduate from our school, you will get a degree that says you have an MBA from ESE. So it will not say that you have a specialization in finance or marketing and things like that. So I'll explain a little later how our program is structured. You will have some flexibility, to customize the program based on your interest. But again, when you graduate from a school like ours with a general management perspective, essentially it's a signal to the market or to recruiters that you are able to work in any role, in any business function, in any industry, in any part of the world. That's the type of reputation that we have. It's not that they expect anyone who comes from our school to only be able to tackle one type of job function or one type of industry. So that's why officially on paper you won't have any type of specialization, but you can certainly take elective classes based on your interest or your focus.
Right. All right. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Great. Thanks. Okay, so shall I move on to the
please,
slide?
please, yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Great. So and in terms of developing your leadership potential, one of the main tools that we use is the CASE method. So I want to explain that in further detail. ESE is very well known for the CASE method actually, and 80% of our curriculum is taught by this method. And with over the past 6 years, we have really with the type of leaders that we produce, we see this as a very effective way of helping you to achieve this objective. Many schools as well claim that they teach by the CASE method also, but I really want to explain what it is. For those of you who are not familiar with the CASE, what it is really, it's almost like a story. It's a story of a person who's facing a business problem. It's usually anywhere from 10 pages to 20 pages, even 30 pages long. And then we'll have some basic information and data for you. And the point is for you to put yourselves in the shoes of the protagonist and come up with a solution or a proposal for this business problem. So the cases are based on real people and real companies. So at ESE, every day you go through 3 cases in different subjects. In terms of preparation, you do have to prepare them individually first. Following that, you will, with your assigned teams, have meetings to discuss the cases before you go into a classroom and present your idea to the professor as well as 70 plus of your classmates. So how does the learning come in? So of course, based on your personal experience, what you've done at work, and what you've seen, you will come up with a suggestion or proposal or recommendation based on that. However, with a case, there is no right or wrong answer. There are many different ways of approaching it. And so the idea is that being in a classroom of 70 people coming from different industries, backgrounds, and cultures, there'll be 70 different ways of really approaching this case. So the idea of being in a classroom, again, is really to develop these skills. of communication, communicating your idea clearly to the class, convincing them of your opinion, and maybe defending your argument to them. Imagine every day you're walking into a boardroom with board members and you have to present this idea to them and convince them that this is the right thing to do. And again, you're exposed to many different ways of doing things. And the idea is for you to really understand that, that your way is not the only way. It may be applicable in certain situations or certain contexts, but in other contexts, it may not be. So it really helps you to learn and understand, how to adapt to new situations and also how to make decisions with imperfect information. So the cases are really, it's really about experiential learning. The knowledge that you gain is very applicable, again, because these are based on real-life situations. Our professors actually, it takes a lot of training and experience and skill to lead a case discussion. Our professors actually teach professors from other schools how to run the case discussions. And also, IESE is the second biggest producer of business cases after Harvard Business School. So what this means is that our professors actually work with companies, they consult with companies, and they write these cases on their behalf. So a lot of times, actually in the classroom, our professors can bring in some of these top executives to sit in class and actually share, what they actually did in real life. So our professors really know what they're talking about, basically. So as mentioned, 80% of the classes are taught this way. In 2 years, you go through 600 cases. And the rest of the curriculum, the remaining 20% is taught via lectures, simulations, group projects, things like that. For classes that are maybe not as suited for the case method.
So just right, I'd just like to add here for our students, that in business schools, you can either learn through books, or through quantitative methods or simulations, and you can learn through cases also. Case studies are more like that as Camille very articulately she has said that it's like a story where there are loopholes, so and something goes wrong, or so you have to come up with measures or you have to analyze it, and there are no right or wrong answers. Moro and how it helps is that when you are sitting with a classroom which are filled with people from different background, so everybody will come up with solutions or come up with things that they are aware of based on their backgrounds, which you will not be able to come up with. So it actually helps you look at things with different perspectives. So and you get to learn a lot. For instance, you may be a software engineer and you would kind of probably attack the problem based on whatever information, knowledge or work experience you may have. But if there is somebody who is a doctor or maybe who is a professional photographer, he would have a different take on it. So the case study is actually extremely helpful in becoming becoming an MBA, because you learn to attack problems from different perspectives. And after, as Camille said, that after Harvard Business School, the IESE has the maximum number of, they produce the maximum number of case studies. Also, there are, there are 2-3 business schools who focus mainly on case study method of teaching. IESE is one of them. Kellogg is one of them. So these 2 business schools, they have their teaching methodology is, is such that most of the teaching is done through case methodology. So which means that your actually your MBA is actually very general management oriented, because you are learning to attack problems from different ways. For example, if a company is not doing well, maybe that is a problem. So you can either think of it in terms of financial terms, or maybe in terms of HR and recruitment terms, maybe in terms of talent acquisition, maybe in terms of product development. So for a same problem, you learn how to come up with solutions, different types of solutions, attacking different departments or attacking different functions. So that's why the MBA is very, very general management oriented. So I just wanted to like to add to that, because we had students who have studied at IESE and they actually use exactly the same words, that you learn to attack problems from different angles, not just the only one angle that you are currently aware of. Yes, Camille, please proceed.
No, thank you. Thanks for adding that. And I want to say, again, many of you are already very experienced, in your areas. But through this process, sometimes you even unlearn what you already know, and you really just broaden your mind. Again, over these 19 months. And again, this is not a process that takes place overnight. It does take time. And of course, we also don't expect, all our students from the day they graduate to be CEOs immediately, but it's really to help you build a very strong foundation and to replant the seeds so that you can, along your career for the rest of your life, develop your leadership potential to its fullest. All right, great. I'll move on now to the next slide. And just to explain a little bit how the program is structured. Again, it's over 19 months and it's split into 2 years. So in the first year, the program is very structured and quite rigid. You don't get to choose any of your classes. We have one intake that starts in September. So we also offer a business Spanish program that starts in August, so before the MBA classes officially start. And this is open to all our students. It's a great program, where there are 12 levels of classes. And when you complete all 12 levels, you will actually get on your MBA degree that says that you have a bilingual degree. So I think it's an extra bonus that you get a chance to learn a new language. During the MBA course itself, the Spanish classes, take place outside of the regular class. So, students have the choice to take it or not. But again, it's a great program to have. And if you reach a certain level of fluency, you can also take some of our business courses that are conducted in Spanish. So in the first year, there are 3 terms. And when you complete the 3 terms in June, that's when you have to do a mandatory summer internship. So this internship, I think, is really valuable, especially for those of you who are interested in switching careers. Having this internship really allows you to test drive a new career. Many of you, I'm sure, are interested in doing an MBA to maybe try out consulting or finance or, tech, or to work in a different country. So this internship is an extra chance for you to really gain knowledge in a new industry, and also, to see if this is really what you want to do for the rest of your life. I've definitely seen people, who have done the consulting internship and, realize it's not for them. And you have all of second year to really, explore other careers and also and to try something else. So for this internship, it's entirely up to you, whatever you want to do. And I'll talk a little bit more later in terms of, the career services support we provide in helping you, find this internship. All right. So that's the first year. And in the second year, that's when it becomes a lot more flexible and you can really customize it, based on your interests. So at the end of the day, the MBA is a very personal journey. We give you a lot of flexibility in the second year to choose what you want to do. So some of the options that we offer are overseas modules. What these are 2-week intensive courses in some of our overseas campuses. So this includes New York, Sao Paulo, Shanghai, and Nairobi. So the idea again is to immerse you in these environments and really to learn about what it's like to do business, in these various parts of the world. For example, I myself attended the Nairobi module, and it's about learning how to do business in Africa. We did a consulting project for a company, a local company, and it really gives you, a deep dive into understanding how businesses are conducted there. And it's a really unique opportunity that, it's very hard to come by. For example, in Shanghai, some of you may have heard of CEBS, the Chinese European International Business School. But what you may not know is that actually IESE is the European part of the school. We actually helped co-found it. So one of our professors actually sits on the board and is the chairman of the school. And so we have a very deep relationship with the business school. And again, we have classes that take place there. We actually have about 15 associated business schools. These are schools that we help to co-found, all around the world. So again, this shows you kind of the network that we have, on a global level. Apart from that, in the second year, you can also choose to go on exchange. We have, again, about partnerships with about 30 business schools around the world, including some of the top schools in the US and, in the UK and in Asia. Every year approximately about 90 students go on exchange out of 350. And how this works is there's a bidding process, and you're allocated the school of your choice based on your GPA. So of course you will indicate what your first choice, second choice, and third choice is. Most of the students do tend to get their top choice. But of course, if you do choose to stay in Barcelona, we do offer elective courses, and you can choose to take whatever courses you like. So depending on your interest or your focus, if you're very interested in marketing, you can choose to take all marketing courses. You can choose to take all finance courses. So it's entirely up to you. In May, that's when graduation takes place. All right. So I'm going to move on to the next slide. So here is just an example again of how you can customize your MBA experience. For example, entrepreneurship is a very popular topic these days. A lot of students are very interested in that. That is, part of our core curriculum. So in the first year, everyone will take the same entrepreneurship classes. What we do offer as well as is a summer entrepreneurship experience. So instead of doing an internship in the summer, you can choose to stay on campus and develop a business plan or work with another team on their business idea under the mentorship of a professor. So you will have the guidance of a professor and to spend 3 months working on this business plan. And also, ESE, or actually Barcelona, is actually a very big startup hub in Europe. So, and ESE is very plugged into the local startup scene and the ecosystem. So we will bring in, entrepreneurs, investors, and things to meet with you as well. So it's a great, networking opportunity also for those of you who are interested in that. And then the second year, these are just some of the electives you can take again if you choose to focus on this track. But of course, a lot of recruiters come to our school and they can tell us, we like to hire from ESE, because of their students who are very good in finance. There are students who are very good in marketing. There are students who are very great in consulting. Their critical thinking skills and analytical skills. So again, coming to a school like ESE with this general management focus really allows you to specialize in your area of interest. It's not that we try to push you into a certain category or a certain box. Because also, we understand that many of you come in thinking you want to do one thing and leave doing something else. I think the thing is being at a school like ours, you're exposed to so many different things. Right now you can only aspire towards what you already know. But you learn so much during the program that you may end up on a different path. So we want to allow you to explore, but also provide you with the tools that you need, the skills you need, and also the support to continue along whatever path you choose. All right. So moving on to the next page, I just wanted to share some numbers. This is what this is a snapshot of what the class looks like for the incoming class of 2019. So we currently have about 360 students. Over 84% are international. So again, this shows you how diverse our student body is. We have 32% women, and in terms of the average age, average work experience, the average GMAT, I think is quite straightforward. I think the one thing I want to highlight, we have 85% career changes. So this is based on the previous class. What this indicates, it means that 85% of the class was able to change at least one aspect of their career, be it the industry, the function or the role, or the geography. So I think, again, this goes to show, how effective, our program is to enable you, to pursue whatever career you choose. All right.
Just I have a question. I have a question in the previous segment that would you have the number of how many Indian students were there in the previous batch?
Every year, on average, we have anywhere between 20 to 30 Indian students.
Okay.
We don't have any, quota per se.
Of course.
We'll take, of course, all the top students that we need. Yeah.
So you say that on an average you get 20 to 30 Indian students in every batch. So so among these 20 to 30 these Indian students, what track, earlier you talked about that people can take up entrepreneurship track or finance track. So what type of track is most popular among the Indian students?
Sure. I would say I don't want to overgeneralize because I think while all of you may, of course, all hold Indian passport, I think all of you may aspire towards many different things. And again, maybe a lot of you might want to do consulting now, but you may change your mind somewhere down the line. So I'll give you some examples, of my classmates who are Indian nationals. For example, I have a couple of them who ended up working for Amazon.
Okay.
I know someone who's working for Deloitte Consulting. I know someone who's working for Microsoft. So it really depends on what you want to do. And I think, again, the opportunities are there for you. And of course you have to put in the effort towards it. But there's really a broad range, I think, of, where our alumni are working now. And I would definitely encourage you to, just an easy exercise, go on LinkedIn and just look at, where, people from India have progressed in their career. And I'll give you a very, very good indication, of what opportunities are available.
Also, this the average GMAT. In our experience in most business schools, the Indian students in that class tend to score higher than the class average in GMAT. So is that the case with IESE also?
I would say the Indian students, of course, perform very well on the GMAT. So, again, but the GMAT is not the only thing that we look at. So, of course, we also look at your application, holistically. So yeah, I mean, based on, I guess the applications that we receive, typically, yes, our Indian students do perform well in the GMAT. So to be competitive, I would say, you should at least target our average.
Right. And what kind of industries do the Indian students come from? So the on general, in a ballpark estimate. So what are the most popular industries that they come from?
Sure. Again, I think the value of our MBA really comes from the diversity of the students. So we have seen students from all types of different backgrounds. We have people from India coming from family businesses, from the tech industry, entrepreneurs, some who also have consulting background. So again, it's really across all types of industry. I don't think there's really one very popular category, let's say. I think, again, everyone wants to do an MBA for different reasons, regardless of where you've been working, right? So, yeah.
Right. Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks.
Rama.
Thanks,
okay.
Yeah.
So move on to the next slide. This is again just to show you, based on our latest employment report, which you can find online for 2016. This is where our students tend to end up, post MBA. So again, you can see, with our student body, we're over 80% international, and our students end up really everywhere around the world afterwards. I think the numbers below are on par with any of the top business schools in the world. So again, I mentioned we have 85% career changers, and I believe about 20% of people really manage to do the triple jump, which is to change their industry, their role, and their geography. Of course, that is extremely difficult, but our students, some of them are able to achieve that. 91% job placement within 3 months, and over 500 companies come on campus to recruit. So again, if you attend any of the top business schools, I think these are some of the numbers that we share. But I think what I want, and sorry, here's an example of some of the companies that come on campus to recruit. We host 2 major events during the year. This is the Career Forum. It's organized by our Career Services team. So we do have a lot of good relationships with many of these companies, and of course we are able to invite them on campus. And these are companies that recruit both for internships and for full-time roles. So the opportunity for you to network and to meet with company representatives is always there. But one important thing I actually want to highlight that's a little bit different about our school is that we do have a global team and satellite offices around the world. So of course, we do have a career services team, on campus in Barcelona to provide you with, day-to-day support. So we offer one-on-one counseling sessions. We organize a lot of events, and I think again that's standard of any business school. But for us, what we've realized is, having students who are so diverse, who come from all parts of the world, and many people now these days, have very, unique sort of desires. They aspire towards many different things now. It's not as cookie cutter as before, where everyone wants to do consulting or everyone wants to do finance. People want to do many different types of things. So what we have actually is representative offices in different locations around the world. So for example, if you wanted to work in impact investing in South America, let's say, we have someone in Brazil, who's able to, whose job is to really get, on the ground information, and, to provide counseling and support if you need. So myself, I'm based in Singapore and I'm responsible for Southeast Asia. And I have colleagues in Hong Kong, Shanghai, Japan, and in the US. So, I think having this type of network is incredibly important. Also because, again, it's not just about getting the one job after your MBA and then that's it, right? I mean, it's really about, your lifelong career, and, you may not be based in one area for the rest of your life. So we want to be able to, build this network out and to provide, support for our students even further down the line. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next slide. In terms of career opportunities, besides the events we hold on campus, we also organize a lot of career tracks that allows you to really explore different types of industries and different types of geographies as well. So these tracks are organized by student clubs as well as in collaboration with our career services team. We have many student clubs on campus with the professional sector focus. So for instance, we have a finance club that organizes a banking tour in London every year. So what happens is a group of students will go to London and visit all the big banks there. And again, this is for career sectors, for you to really understand what the industry is about and talk to people who are working in the industry and get sort of a first-hand perspective. And this will really help you in terms of your application, for internship definitely. So depending on your interest, you can sign up for any of these tracks. Again, they have sector focus and also region focus. So we have a Dubai track, a Silicon Valley track, Hong Kong track. So you have the opportunity to sign up for any of these trips over the 19 months or over the 3 years. We also host regional career events. So one thing I want to highlight as well, for example, is the Asia Career Summit. So this is a career event that we host in Singapore every year. So students who are based in Barcelona but keen to pursue careers back in Asia will travel to Singapore to meet with companies. So this year, when I helped organize it, we had about 13 students come and meet with 20 companies over 3 days. And the idea is really for students to get familiar with the business environment here, and also to network with local executives. And we have actually companies who are looking to hire interns who met with our students, found the right fit, and now some of them are implementing here as well. So again, we recognize that not everyone maybe wants to work here or have just one need. So we try to cater to as many needs as possible. So we host a lot of different events. Right. I want to touch on our alumni network. So we have about 45,000 alumni scattered around the world, and this includes not just people who graduate from our full-time MBA program, but also our other programs. We have a lot of senior level management programs. We even have a global CEO program. So once you take one of these programs, you're considered an alumni. So you do kind of have access to a lot of top level executives who are located all around the world. And it's not just about the numbers. I would say, the value of an MBA really is the alumni network and how engaged they are. And I would say, as an ESE alumni myself and having interacted with a lot of alumni, I would say everyone I've met are incredibly warm, welcoming, and very supportive and helpful. We also want to have that ESE connection. We consider it the ESE family. We call it that, and it's not just something that we say in passing. I've been invited to a lot of my classmates' weddings. Anyone who comes to visit me stays at my house. So there's this kind of relationship that you build with your classmates over the 19 months. And of course, you don't have to take my word for it. I'll encourage you to talk to as many alumni as possible, not just from our schools, but from other schools as well. That's the way you can really compare how engaged they are. And for us, we host a lot of continuous learning events for our alumni. So that again we see it as a lifelong relationship, and not just once you leave the school, that's it, right? You can only choose one business school. You can only do one MBA in your lifetime. So we want to make sure also the life is very good.
Anybody have, so at this time, at this point we'll take a pause and we'll take questions. If you have any questions, please let us know. So Shashank has this question, Camille, that if very briefly, if you can highlight the difference between the regular MBA program and the executive MBA program.
Sure. So for our full-time MBA program, the classes are conducted on campus in Barcelona, and so that's where we do days for the 19 months. So it's very intense and very rigorous. And as I mentioned, it's a very immersive type of environment. So for the executive MBA, you can choose to take it on a Madrid campus, but of course, most of the students who do the executive MBA are their age tends to be a little bit higher. So they're in the mid-30s. They have more work experience, and they are still working full time while they do the MBA. The classes tend to be during weekends. So you do. The learning will be a mix of online learning and also interactive learning and so in terms of course the quality of the teaching, we have the same professors who teach in our MBA program as well as in executive education. But it is quite a different experience. Of course, we also for the executive MBA we have students who fly in from various countries in Europe to attend the sessions on weekends. So I think generally that's kind of the main difference. But of course, as a school, as I mentioned, it's the same mission that drives us. So in terms of the culture and the community, it still kind of revolves around our mission.
So, but can an Indian student apply for the executive MBA? I mean, you would need a student visa for that, right? I mean, as a student, Indian student who, without a full-time study visa, will the person be able to attend the executive MBA?
Typically, the executive MBA is meant more for people who are already based in Europe because
that's what I thought.
Fly or be in Madrid, every weekend
right.
work. Either you can choose to apply for the full-time MBA.
Right.
We have what we call a global executive MBA, where you can choose to take. So the courses take place not just on our Madrid campus, but also in our New York campus and Shanghai campus. So the combination of involves a lot of travel basically. So that allows maybe Indian nationals to participate in if you do have more years of work experience or you fall to that category.
So Anshuman has this question that he already has an MBA. So he had done his MBA, and now after that he has like 10 years of work experience. Is he eligible to apply for the IESE MBA? I mean, he already has one MBA. Can he apply for second MBA?
I mean, you can certainly apply, but I would definitely ask you, why are you keen to do a second MBA, and what is your purpose of doing that?
Right. Of course.
We should definitely have a more private one-on-one conversation in further detail on that.
Right. No, I mean, some business schools, they have this criteria that they do not entertain applications, from students who already have an MBA. So IESE, there is no such rule, right? So you would consider the application provided the person is able to explain the need for the second MBA, right? Okay. So I think Anshuman, that answers your question. So Dave has an interesting question. Is Spanish language proficiency evaluated for the application selection process? In my experience, it is not. But would you want to add to that, Camille?
Sure. Yes, it is not a requirement at all to know the Spanish language. As I mentioned, the Business Spanish program is a program that we offer to our students. So, for example, when I went, I knew zero Spanish. I took it through my first year, so I finished at level 6. And again, it's a bonus for you to be able to learn Spanish and be in a country where you can actually develop the skill. But it's absolutely not a requirement at all.
So Dave, so to get admission in IESE, you would not need to know the Spanish language, but to be able to access all types of job opportunities available to you, it is helpful if you attend a Business Spanish program that is offered by IESE itself and is a part of an MBA. If you do that, and Spanish is not as difficult to learn as, let's say, Mandarin or some of the other languages. So it will definitely improve your employability if you learn the language during the course of your MBA. The Business Spanish, not at least so that you can carry out business interactions. So that's a recommendation. But at the point of applying, there is no criteria for you to. There is no requirement for you to know the Spanish language. So Rajan has this question: what is the post-study work permit available post-MBA? So after you do the MBA as international student, do they get a work permit to work in Europe? In the US they get a 1 year OPT or something. So is there something like that with in IESE?
No, unfortunately not. So, of course, when you do the MBA, you do have a student visa. But once the student visa expires, you don't automatically get a work permit. But of course, if you apply for jobs in the area and depending on the company, they're able to sponsor you, then of course you can stay and work there.
So during the MBA, if they are able to get the job, then that's not an issue. Like within 3 months of the MBA, if they are able to get the job, then they can write. Okay.
Right.
So Kunal has a problem. He said low GPA, so academics are low, but a very good GMAT score and 2-year entrepreneurial work experience. So how would you rate this profile?
Sure. So I would say for us, we look at all aspects of the application. So it's not just about your GMAT or your academic experience or your work experience. So we look at everything as a whole. And also we look a lot more at your motivation and also what you're looking for in an MBA. So I would say yes, they may not be right for everyone, right? It depends on what your goals are, what you're trying to achieve after that. So Kunal, I'll be happy to have also more personal conversation with you, and then we can maybe assess your profile based on that.
So Rajan's question is, what is the current employment scenario in Spain? So I think the 91% of the last class got 91% of the students got jobs. So I think that is a fair enough employment scenario. So I would we have business schools where less than 80% students get jobs within 3 months of completing the MBA. So from IESE 91% do. So I think the employment scenario it should not be any different for international students. So would you like to add to that, Camille?
I think, I'm not sure if Rajan's question specifically about Spain in general, but I just want to highlight again that as a global business school, people come to our school not to work in Spain, right? I mean, they are keen to work in Europe and also in the US, in Asia, in Latin America. So, again, depending on what you want to do. So, if you're very keen to work in Spain, I think that's another story, and it depends on what industry, what functions you're looking for. But again, as Ayama mentioned, 91% of our students are able to find jobs post-MBA, in all parts of the world.
Right. Yeah? And Purvi has this question that without work experience, is it possible, if somebody has no work experience, just finished a bachelor's degree, so is it possible to get admission in the MBA?
Sure. So to apply for MBA, we do have a minimum requirement of 2 years of work experience, and I kind of want to explain why that is. In the earlier part of the presentation, I talked about the case method, and that is primarily how we teach during the MBA program. So if you have no work experience, you will not be able to really, first of all, understand what's going on in class, or when other people talk about their experience, you may not be able to relate as well, and you won't be able to contribute as much. So for your own benefit, we encourage you to at least have a few years of work experience first. Otherwise, it becomes all theoretical. It's the same as being in university when the professors are really lecturing at you, and you won't be able to really sort of internalize it or apply that knowledge that you learn in the MBA. But if you have just graduated from university, let's say, or if you're in your final year of university, you are eligible to apply for a Young Talent Path program. So that is a pre-admissions program that we have for our MBA. So this is for university students who already have a very clear idea in their mind that they want to pursue an MBA. So this Young Talent Path is a program that we offer for that. You can certainly find more information online, or again, you can email me later, and I'm happy to share more details.
Right. Verena has this question that what are the timings of the full-time MBA classes? So as an international student, if they want to work part-time, so can they work part-time and do the full-time MBA? I see from whatever I have heard from students, the MBA itself is so very hectic that you are not left with either time or energy to pursue part-time work, extensive part-time work. But Camille, would you like to add to that?
Sure, exactly. The MBA is very intense and very rigorous. So students in the first year, really you have no time. So even if you do want to work, I don't think you have the time to do that, first of all. And secondly, for you to really get the most value out of the MBA, a lot of it is not just about classroom learning, but it's about the activities that take place afterwards as well. I mentioned we have a lot of professional clubs, we organize company presentations, we have mock interviews, we have workshops, things like that. So there are a lot of activities taking place, and of course I mentioned, a lot of the value of the MBA is also from the alumni network. So there's a lot of social networking that takes place as well. Right. So if you're working or for whatever reason that may be, that will really detract from the MBA experience. So you are really not allowed or encouraged to work during the MBA as well. Mm-hmm.
Also, a lot of the students, when they start the MBA in the first year, they work towards getting a good internship, right from the second or third month. So Verena, I would recommend that you focus your energies on getting that internship, because if you perform well during that internship, as an international student, that's like a boon for you. You can get a job offer, So just for most international students and Indian students, mostly they right from the second, third month, they use the career services. They try to tap the alumni network and try to get that good internship, their dream internship, or anything that may help in their career. And if a lot of the students, from the company, in the company where they intern, from there they're able to get job offers, so you would be better, it will be better for you if you instead of focusing on getting part-time jobs, you focus on getting that good internship with a good company who will process your work visa, right?
Exactly.
So SR has this question that he has 2.2 years of work experience in finance and very good academic background and some community service thingy. So what are his chances? So SR, I think this one important segment of it is missing, which is the GMAT score. So the IESE is very competitive for India, for international students, especially Indian students, because they score high on the GMAT anyway. So try to get a 720 plus just to be on the safer side, and 2.2 years is a little on the lower side. You might have seen the average is like 5 years of work experience, but yes, you do meet the eligibility criteria. Just write your essays well, present your profile in a strong manner, and so yeah, with the current profile, at least you are eligible to apply. You are not going to get outright rejection. So would you like to add something to that, Camille?
Yes, I just want to say, for those of you who have specific questions about your individual profiles, perhaps you might want to shoot me an email, and we can schedule a call at a later date to discuss this individually. And perhaps maybe now we might want to look at the questions that address sort of broader, more general topics. So, my email address, I put it on the screen now, is cchow@iese.edu. So I think we can maybe use the handout to address more general questions.
So this is one interesting question. What are the strengths of the IESE MBA over other Spanish MBAs such as the IESE or the Empresa?
Sure. Sure. So, I myself have only done the IESE MBA, so I can't really compare with the other schools. And I think it's really up to you to do the research and really understand what the differences are. So I already highlighted, for our school, what is very distinctive or unique about us is that we're a very mission-driven school. Our strength is, in the case method, in having a general management focus. And again, it depends on what you yourself are looking for. I think with each of these other schools, they have also, their own strengths as well. So I think that's really up for you to really understand and to decide that, what you want.
So, Shashank's question is that, in one of your slides, you mentioned that you have a class size of 360 plus divided in 5 sections. So his question is, this division of 5 sections, is it just done to ensure that there is a healthy student to professor ratio, or is these 5 divisions based on any other criteria?
Yes, so that is one of the reasons, yes, to have a good professor-student ratio. But it's not just about that, because, as I mentioned, a lot of the training, in terms of developing your leadership potential comes from this case discussion in class. And, having a class size of about, 70 plus students really allows you to participate. So for our classes, a lot of the grading actually comes from the participation. And again, it's different from being in university where you're sitting in a classroom, and maybe sometimes you don't prepare, or you're sleeping. You can still get by, but not in the IESE MBA. The professor really knows you by name. They can cold call you, and again, the idea is really, that's where the training and your learning and development comes in, right? For you to be prepared for each class and to be able to participate, communicate your ideas clearly.
Right. So
this is just also part of the personal approach that we take as a school. I mentioned we focus a lot on the human element and the people aspect of it. So as part of that, in terms of the culture, we really like to take a personal touch with our students. We want to get to know you. You're, more than a CV or a statistic. You're an individual, right? So with our professors, the professors really take the time and effort to know our students. And I mentioned with the career services team and even on the admissions team, we do a lot of one-on-one counseling sessions. And how we do that is, we maintain a small class size. We have 350 students, which is one of the smallest class sizes amongst, the top business schools. Because we recognize that we have 1,000 students, we're really not able to provide this more personalized approach. So, and again, having the smaller sections, helps you, develop also close relationships with your section mates. You're stuck with the same section for the whole of the first year. And even within that, you'll be broken down into teams of, 8, 9 people. And these are really a lot of the teams become your family for the first year. So, that's kind of the culture that we have.
Right. So, Shreyashi, your question is, how do you evaluate a profile having management experience through family business? So that is good. So let me know. So we get a lot of applications from family business background. So it's not viewed negatively or positively either way. So it's just like any other work experience. So you don't have to worry about that. Anurag's question is, what is the duration of visa for the course, and will the student be allowed to stay back in Spain to search for jobs after the completion of the MBA? So in one of the questions we already addressed that the visa is for the duration of the MBA, and students stay back by a couple of months, 2-3 months they can do so by, there's some means and ways to look for jobs, but not more than that. That's why the internship that you do after the first year, that's why it's even more important. If you're able to get a job out of it, or maybe a second internship out of it, that will help you stay a little longer. But unlike US, the US allows you to stay for 1 year. Some other countries also allowed it. So Spain does not allow you to stay for more than 2-3 months after the MBA. So Dave, I think your question is, do employers visit campus? So that part has already been addressed in one of our previous slides, that companies do come. So there's the career forum companies that, just let me take you back to that slide, the career forum slide that that Camille had shown. So that those career forum is actually is a recruitment event, right? So these are the companies who came there. So there are a lot of such events that happen at that IESE. SAT, your question is, could you give more details about a career in oil and gas with respect to program, course, internship and employment? So Camille, is there any like your tracks in this entrepreneurship track, finance track, is there any track that is specifically for professionals in oil and natural gas?
Yes. So as mentioned, our course is a general management course. And so the idea is for you to take on any role in any industry. So in terms of the energy sector, yes, that's quite a hot topic these days, with a lot more focus on say renewable energy, things like that. So yes, there are opportunities available there. We have an energy club on campus, again, it's a student-led club that organizes a lot of events with respect to this. So they'll invite companies on campus for presentations. They organize an energy trek to the Netherlands every year to again visit companies in these areas. And ultimately, again, for us, on the career management side, a lot of the effort comes from the students as well, because we understand maybe there are some of your target companies may not be ones that necessarily come on campus to recruit. So again, we want to equip you with the skills and tools you need, whether it's your own personal networking or your own research. We support you as much as we can, but with this industry specifically, of course, as mentioned, there are a lot of activities that take place on campus, related to this.
Right. So Darshan wants to know that in admissions criteria. So instead of GMAT, is GRE also acceptable?
Yes, we also accept the GRE.
So you said that GMAT, the class average is around 690. So what would be the equivalent for GRE?
We don't, because the number of students who take GRE is still relatively small.
Okay.
So we look at a range of anywhere, between 300 to 320. So again, that's just one aspect of the application. So I think if you're somewhere in that range, you're quite good.
So even though you do accept GRE, so do you have a preference for the GMAT, or both the exams given equal weightage?
Both exams are given equal weightage.
Right. Okay. Thanks. Mohan Raj has this question that can a student joining IESE, is a student allowed to bring his family, and if yes, then is there any family accommodation available in the campus? His third question is, can the dependents, like let's say he goes and his wife comes with him, so can the wife work part-time in Spain? So there are three questions. Yes. Actually. Yeah.
So sure. So to answer that question, yes, many students actually bring their partners, their spouses, and their families, with them to Barcelona. So IESE is a school. We're very friendly towards families and partners. We understand, you are, moving yourself to a brand new environment in this country, and it's important to have your support system there. So for families and partners, we actually have a club called the Families and Partners Club, where if you want to bring, say, your wife, your partner, your kids, they won't be alone. When you're busy in class, they can actually interact with the other partners as well. All the partners are invited to all the social activities, at school, so they're very integrated into the community. They're also welcome to even take the Spanish classes,
right,
and use our facility. So the only thing they cannot do is actually sit, in the MBA classroom with you. And in terms of work, they will require a work permit to work full time. So that depends on what their job is.
Right.
But officially speaking, you cannot work without a permit.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
in terms of accommodation.
Right. So on the dependent visa. So if a person is taking his wife on a dependent visa, so on a dependent visa, a person is not allowed to work full time, right?
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah. So you would need so Mohanraj, if you're taking your family with you, so if you want any of your family members to work, so they would need to have a separate work permit. Just on the basis of dependent visa, they cannot work. You're just coming down to your accommodation answer. Yep.
Oh yes, so for accommodations, all students are responsible for looking for their own accommodation. So we don't provide any housing on campus. So, depending on your budget and, the size of apartment you want, there are lots of options available in Barcelona. There are, a lot of agencies that help with students with finding flats and apartments in the city. So there are a lot of options available to you. It's entirely up to you.
Right. And just for your information, the off-campus housing is usually, not just for IESE, for off-campus housing is far cheaper than anything that you may find on campus. Not just for IESE, any business school, whenever there is an option of living on campus or off campus, Indian students prefer off campus because you can have roommates, you can make your own food. So off campus housing turns out to be, far cheaper than on campus housing. Just two more questions, just last question. So one question is that, what would be your recommendation to people who are planning to apply to IESE? What should the focus be in their essays, etc.?
Sure. In terms of our application process, again, we look at the applications holistically, and ultimately, I think what's more important to us is that the students or the applicants know our school well, and we care more that we're the right fit for you. So it's not about us filling our class with 10 engineers, 10 accountants, 10 lawyers, or whatever it is. There's no such thing. So as I mentioned, the value of our MBA is really from the diversity of the student body. So, it doesn't matter what your background is, but, it matters to us that you understand who we are and that you are committed to our school and that you feel that it's the right place for you to, grow and to learn and to, further develop your career. So that's kind of what we look for in your essays. My personal advice to you is to, be authentic, be genuine, and think very carefully about the questions. And kind of, it's your story to tell. It's not about what we want to hear. We want to get to know you. So, do spend some time reflecting on the questions, and communicate your ideas clearly. As you know, our application is already online, so I'd encourage you to go online and look at some of the questions. Our first round of deadlines is in October. You do have some time. And I also want to highlight that, I would encourage you to apply in the first two rounds because, as mentioned, especially, for the Indian nationals, it is very competitive. So as the rounds progress, it just gets more and more difficult. Thank you, Yama, for showing this slide. In the first two rounds, basically, we have 350 seats to fill. As the rounds progress, the class gets more and more full and gets harder to get in. So if you can, especially if you're already starting on your applications now, do try to, apply by the second round. On that note as well, moving on to the scholarships that we offer, yes, we do offer student scholarships. We also tend to give them out, in the first two rounds. Our scholarships are merit-based, and so you do have to submit a scholarship essay along with your application. In the essay, you're expected to talk about, maybe what you've done before, why you think you deserve the scholarship, what you intend to contribute, and also if you have any special needs. For example, some of our students come with families, things like that. Again, we tend to give out about 70% of our scholarships in the first two rounds. So definitely, that's important consideration for you. Do apply earlier. And also, our tuition fees, are available online. And I would encourage all of you to also start planning early on the financial side, because there's no point getting to your dream school and then trying to figure out how to budget for the next 2 years.
Right.
So start planning now. Also look at the living expenses. That is also available on our website. We offer loan programs to our students. This is quite common and very popular with the students. There are two types of programs. One is with a Spanish bank called Banco Sabadell, and also one with a private company called Prodigy Finance. So the difference is that with Prodigy, it includes living expenses, so they're able to cover part of your living expenses. Whereas for Banco Sabadell, they only help you cover your tuition.
So Camille, I have just to interrupt. I have this question. So with this with the Spanish bank, so are the international students, do they have to have a Spanish co-signer?
No. So with these programs, they don't require a co-signer.
Right. Okay, that's great. So, and would you have any idea about rough rate of interest rates on these loans?
It really depends, honestly. And so typically, what the students do is they would submit their basic information details to each of these two organizations. And organizations will come up with a proposal based on the student's risk profile. So it really varies, and usually students just take the best offer.
Right. So, but there is no, they don't need to submit any financial documents or any property documents as collateral, right?
No.
Just the admission to IESE. So this is an extremely important point. So there is no collateral, no co-signer loans, both of these, the Spanish bank loan as well as the Prodigy Finance, both of them are no co-signer, no collateral loans, and you can apply to them only after you get the admission though. The admission to IESE is the requirement. Only after getting the admission you can apply. So you will be given the loan based on the fact that you got the IESE admission. As for the scholarships, as Camille said, when you are submitting your online applications, look out for the scholarship essay. You have to write the scholarship essay. If you do not write the scholarship essay, then you will not be considered for the scholarship. So please write the scholarship essay. Don't forget to write that. So that's all the time we have today. Thank you very much. So I'll just take you to the last slide. So where we have Camille's email ID. Please feel free to, if you have any questions specific to your own profile, just please feel free to write to her directly. I'm sure Camille will be more than happy to address your questions. And so guys, all the best for your GMAT preparation. Start writing your applications. The questions are already out. The essay questions essays are not to be done at the last moment. You will need to think about them, do a lot of thinking. So just basically start drafting your essays from now onwards. You may have to do tons of drafts before you finalize an essay. You got a lot of information about what IESE is about, what they are looking for, what are their mission statements. So use this information to draft your essays. You will not get an opportunity like that where the business school is telling you what they are looking for, or how you can differentiate yourself. So please use this information to draft your essays. And Camille, thank you so much for taking out the time. I know this is a weekend and you don't work on weekends, so thank you so much for taking out the time.
Thank you all for being here with me today. I really enjoyed speaking with you, and I hope you found it helpful. And again, if you have any additional questions, I'm definitely available to you. Just shoot me an email and we can speak again. And thank you so much for hosting me, Ariana.
Yep. Thanks, Camille. So thank you all. Have a nice weekend, everybody.